Restore New Mexico is a Bureau of Land Management project. They have a lot of partners, dozens of partners in the government, private sector, and at universities. It was initiated in 2005, and their main goal is to restore grasses to disturbed lands at a landscape scale. And within this, their various projects might focus on invasive species, watershed function, wildlife habitat, catastrophic wildfire, and habitat fragmentation. So Restore New Mexico is a restoration and a reclamation program. They may use herbicides or fire or mechanical removal or other methods to control invasive and brush species, to improve riparian habitat, to try to reduce woodland encroachment, to perform reclamation on oil and gas well pads. And to date, they say they've treated over 3 million acres in New Mexico. Why are we involved? We believe it's a unique opportunity to see our science tools be put to use and create some good knowledge. It's a genuine example of collaboration between science organization and a management agency. And we hope that the data we collect in this monitoring program will inform and hopefully improve ecological site descriptions. And it's the largest known active restoration attempt in arid lands within the US, so it seems kind of important we understand what's going on. So the Jornada collaborates with the Las Cruces District Office of the BLM on the Restore New Mexico monitoring. And so in gray here, I've just showing you what areas encompassed by the Las Cruces District Office. In red are the areas that have been treated with herbicides. And this includes areas that were treated prior to the onset of Restore New Mexico in 2005. There were close to 500,000 acres treated prior to 2005. And then since 2005, under the umbrella of Restore New Mexico, there's been about 850,000 acres that have been treated, not just for chemicals, but for other things as well. And the little dots are our plots. We have 172 of them. Our collaboration on this monitoring program began in 2007. The questions that we asked are, well, what are the effects of these shrub treatments? Under what circumstances are we seeing beneficial effects? Are there certain ecological sites or pre-existing vegetation states or plant community phases that are more prone to producing perennial grasses after shrub treatment? And if so, can we target these circumstances for future management efforts? And we're also kind of interested in seeing how these treated areas should be adaptively managed. Restore New Mexico monitoring has a statistically valid sampling design. Most of our plots are allocated in a stratified random fashion. We've got a few non-random pairs out there, and then but the majority are stratified random or these random experimental pairs. It's a long-term monitoring program, and we use precise, repeatable methods that many of you have done a lot of. I'm most interested in the results that I'm hoping we're going to get out of the experimental pairs. So just walk you briefly through what I do. I get a polygon from BLM of where they're planning to treat. We determine what the dominant ecological site and state is, or dominant ecological sites and states are, and then allocate these random 300 meter by 300 meter squares throughout that area to be treated. And then randomly select a pair or multiple pairs to be part of the study. One pair is randomly assigned to be treated and one is left out. And the leave out 9 hectare square goes back to BLM. They give it to the pilot, and that's where the pilot doesn't spray.
Are the blue lines fences on that?
The blue lines are fences. They're pasture fences. Most of our plots are monitoring the tebuthiron treatments, which are meant to kill creosote bush. So in year 1, they apply the chemical. In year 2, we go in, establish the plots, and collect the baseline data. And then every 5 years after that, we collect monitoring data. With the exception of if a range management specialist wants data to help justify extending deferment, then we'll go in at the end of deferment to collect that data as well. We use line point intercept to test whether perennial grass species are increasing in foliar and basal cover in the treated areas relative to the control areas. We use the belt transects to track those target shrub mortalities as well as to kind of see if we can catch when we have any recruitment events. And for perennial grasses that are low or no cover on the line point intercept, we also do a belt transects for those. And they help us get at if there's any negative effects on non-target shrub and succulent species. We take photos and we characterize a mini pit to determine the ecological site. So Brandon, thank you. He crunched some numbers. As I mentioned, we have 172 plots. About 30% of these are experimental pairs. Those 9-hectare plots that I just talked about, we'll collect 5-year data on them this upcoming field season for the first time. But we had kind of a pilot study in 2007 with some experimental pairs, and so that's where this data is coming from. So we could say one of the goals that I've heard over the years from BLM is they want to restore those perennial grasses back to these lands. So if we look just at fluff grass, we could say we've been successful. But we can't always just look at one species. So we pulled out 4 of those 10 plot pairs had black grama on them, so we pulled them out, and Brandon, again, crunched some numbers. This is the adjusted foliar cover of black grama. It's adjusted to the 2007 value. And what we can see here is that we have a worrisome decline in black grama. And also that decline is different between a treated plot and a control plot. And we also know that we have a treatment year interaction, which could have a few different explanations. And then finally, some of you may have heard over the past few years about Restore New Mexico biodiversity. And so if you're interested, Brandon, Jeff Kelly, and Bob Schooley did some biodiversity research along with a grad student, a postdoc, and a student worker. And there's 4 publications out on our website that you can look into. And this work was done on those historic treatments, the pre-2005 treatments.